Welcome to Take 5. I'm your host, Dee Hash. Today's thought-provoking question is, a lot of time when those who are trying to go through something or trying to get on the other side of an issue, it's easy to fall into the trap of playing the victim. And when we are in that place, it is hard for us to recognize that within ourselves, that we are playing the role of the victim. It is easy for someone on the outside to see it and to recognize it. But when we are in that place, it is hard for us to recognize that in ourselves. So what can we do when we're stuck in that place, trying to get to the other side, and need to think about it objectively so we're not lost in our problem? A place where we can kind of step back and see it from a different angle or perspective. Here are some tips. First off, when something really big happens that turns you into a victim or makes you feel like a victim, your desire should not be to go back to the person you were before it happened, because you will be that same person. That same thing could happen to you again. But it's also denying everything that happened, and it's not healthy to deny what has happened. And you sure can't just forget about it. But what you can do is have your brain approach this thing differently. You can either get to a point where you have no feelings about it anymore, which makes you quit thinking about it. Or I can say lesson learned and take them lessons into the next thing in life. So it's not about going back to where you were, but it's about who I can become even though this thing happened to me. I can become better. Instead of having post-traumatic stress syndrome, we need to have post-traumatic growth syndrome. That is what we should be interested in, transmuting trauma into growth. Post-traumatic growth means that we become better or grow as a result of the negative experience. There lies the mind hack. How can we create growth for ourselves, even though all these things have happened to us that we did not like? There are three roles or three characters when we tell our story. We assign a villain, there's a hero, and there's a victim. If someone else has done this to you, you are not the villain. So now you have two choices left to which character you are going to play. You can be the victim, or you can be the hero. And being the hero does not mean that you have to save the world. Sometimes it just means you have to save yourself. These are the only options you have in this play. But your intention to focus on the villain, and he gets all the attention and fills the space in your mind. The focus on the victim side of yourself, that's what you're going to feed. That's the thoughts, the emotions, and the chemistry you're going to create inside your brain. So you may ask, how do I become the hero? You need to change your perspective. There are 5 perceptual positions that we need to consider. The first perceptual position is that of your own perspective, looking through your own eyes. What do I need? What do I want? And from the victim's perspective, you're not getting what you need or what you want. I want this. I want that. I don't want this. I don't want that, etc. But if we begin to float into the other person's position, in a conflict, not even talking about the villain yet, you're probably not even listening in the first perspective, because you're scared and angry. You're in fight or flight mode. You are clouded, and you're not seeing straight. But when you float into the position of the other person and look through their eyes, you think about what drives that person. What do they know about the world? How old are they? What do they see, hear, or feel? What are their needs? What are their thoughts and emotions? Then you go back and see yourself and say, well, from my first perspective, I'm not listening. I'm angry, I'm hurt, and this position is not serving me. So we step from within ourselves into the third position, a more objective position. Like it unto being an observer, like watching a movie, like a scientist, no emotion, rolling that movie over again and again, with you in that other person's perspective, running in the movie, as you watch it from a place of non-attachment or non-emotion. What do you learn from this experiment as being the neutral observer? What do you learn when you take emotions out? When you are being neutral about your behavior and the other person's behavior as well? What other options could you have chosen? What if it wasn't you in that movie? What if it had been somebody that could have handled the situation better than you could have handled it? What would they have done? You need to own it. Own it rather than blame the other person in this conflict. What could you have done differently? What were you blind to in that moment? And there is a fourth perspective. And that fourth perspective is, how does this affect everyone? Family, friends, neighborhood, community, everyone else. Is this issue so bad that you're willing to let it affect them, relationships? and others, possibly causing suffering to those you love or care about? Is this interfering with your ability to serve your family and those you care about? Is your issue with this person so important to make the whole group suffer? Are you serving the group that you claim to care about and to love? Then there's the fifth perception, and that is the source perception position, which is different for each individual. Some people have a good relationship with their perception of God or religion. Other people believe in energy, spirituality, and some people just think about the best version of themselves. Once you float your mind into that position, you're in a place of love, acceptance, and tolerance. Then you are neutral to you and the other person, because Source loves or has a level of care for everyone equally, and your behavior may not live up to your ideals. So it is very helpful to go through these 5 perceptional positions. It helps you walk out of the place of your emotions. It also allows you to learn, to prepare for, to see the context of the situation in a different way. For more information on this subject, there's a great book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, the story of a Holocaust survivor that brain mapped the commonality between those who survived the conditions in the concentration camps and what was the brain coding of the people that turned into survivors. And how was that brain coding different from those that turned into victims? What was the difference between the brain coding of the victims and the survivors? It's definitely not a pop psychology self-help or self-development book, but a beautiful inspirational story. Another to consider is the happiness advantage, how a positive brain fuels success in work and in life, by Sean Ancor. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on the subject. Email me at churchofnaturallawulc@protonmail.com. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you for taking 5 with me. I'm your host, D.D. Hash, signing off. The views and opinions of the presenter are not necessarily the views of the Church of Natural Law, nor any of its affiliates nor sponsors. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. If you enjoy these podcasts, please consider supporting our work by donating at www.churchofnaturalllaw.com.